Mom defended her boyfriend. I tried to tell her the truth. But she called me a liar. He was hiding something dark. When it came out, everything exploded. Our family will never be the same again. I never thought one man could destroy everything I believed about family. But that's exactly what happened when my mom brought Richard into our lives. It started one quiet evening, 3 years after my parents' divorce. Mom came home glowing like a teenager, her cheeks flushed, her eyes sparkling. I hadn't seen her that alive in years. "Sweetheart," she said, setting down a shopping bag, "there's someone I want you to meet." I was 17, finishing homework on the couch. I glanced up, half distracted, but froze when a tall man walked in behind her. He was immaculately dressed, expensive cologne, tailored shirt, that confident kind of smile you only see in people who know they can win anyone over. "This is Richard," Mom announced proudly, as though she was presenting me a prize. He extended a hand toward me. "Nice to meet you, kiddo. I've heard so much about you." Kiddo, I hated the word immediately. Still, I forced a smile and shook his hand. His grip was firm, too firm, almost like he was trying to prove dominance. That night over dinner, Richard charmed Mom with stories of his business travels, expensive hotels, and connections in high places. I noticed the way Mom hung on every word, laughing at jokes that weren't even funny. I wanted to be happy for her. God knows she deserved it after Dad left. But something about him felt off, like a mask that never slipped. The weeks that followed blurred into a routine. Richard was everywhere, driving us to dinner, staying over at the house, even picking me up from school when Mom couldn't. But I quickly realized that when Mom wasn't around, his tone changed. One afternoon, he dropped me at the curb after school. "Listen," he said, his voice lower, sharper. "Your mom really likes me. Don't screw this up for her. You got that?" I nodded stiffly, clutching my backpack straps. His smile returned instantly. "Good girl." That night at dinner, he was back to being charming Richard, making Mom blush with compliments. Then came the first real warning sign. I was in the kitchen grabbing a glass of water when I overheard him on the phone in the backyard. "Yeah, she's hooked," he said. "No, don't worry, she trusts me completely. The kid, she's a brat, but I'll handle her." My stomach dropped. I backed away quietly, heart pounding, and told myself maybe I misheard. Maybe it wasn't even about Mom. But the pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. A few weeks later, it escalated. Mom was working late, and Richard offered to drive me to a friend's birthday party. On the way, he started asking personal questions, too personal. "So," he said casually, eyes fixed on the road, "you got a boyfriend yet?" I shifted uncomfortably. "Not really your business." He chuckled. "Relax, I'm just making conversation. You're pretty, you'll break a lot of hearts." I stared out the window, my skin crawling. At the party, I texted Mom to come pick me up later. I didn't want to get in his car again. When I told her why, she frowned. "Honey, you're being dramatic. Richard is just trying to bond with you." "No, Mom, it's weird. He makes comments." She cut me off, her voice sharp. "Stop trying to sabotage this for me. Richard treats me better than your father ever did. Why can't you just be happy for me?" Her words stung worse than anything Richard had said. I started avoiding him after that, spending more time at friends' houses. But Richard noticed. One evening, I came home late. Richard was in the living room alone, sipping whiskey. "Your mom's worried sick," he said, his tone icy. "Where have you been?" "Studying," I muttered. He stepped closer, his smile gone. "Don't lie to me. You think you're smart, but I see through you. You don't like me, do you?" I swallowed hard. "You're not my dad." His jaw tightened. Then he leaned down, his face inches from mine. That's right, I'm better. Before I could respond, Mom walked in. What's going on? Richard instantly straightened, the charming mask sliding back on. We were just talking, honey. She's such a strong-willed girl, just like her mother. Mom smiled, completely fooled. I wanted to scream. But nothing compared to what happened that December. Christmas was coming, and Mom insisted Richard spend it with us. I begged her not to. Please, Mom, can't it just be us, like old times? She shook her head firmly. Richard is family now, you'll see. On Christmas Eve, our relatives gathered at Grandma's house. It was supposed to be festive, but the tension was unbearable. Richard dominated every conversation, boasting about his investments, dropping names of powerful friends. Mom beamed with pride. I sat quietly, stabbing at my food. Then Grandma asked the question that changed everything. So, Richard, what do you do exactly? For work? Richard's smile flickered. Consulting, he said vaguely. Grandma narrowed her eyes. Consulting what? He laughed. Oh, business strategies, international markets. Complicated stuff. But I noticed the sweat forming on his brow. That night, while Mom and Richard stayed at Grandma's guest room, I crept into the living room where Richard had left his coat. I don't know what I was searching for. Proof, evidence, something. In his inside pocket, I found a stack of business cards, but none had his name. They were all for different people, different companies. And tucked behind them, a photo of Richard with another woman, younger, gorgeous. His arm wrapped tightly around her waist. My breath caught. I snapped a picture with my phone, my hands shaking. The next morning at breakfast, Richard acted like nothing was wrong, cracking jokes and kissing Mom on the cheek. I wanted to confront him then and there, but the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I showed Mom the photo later, when we were alone. Mom, look, I whispered, shoving my phone toward her. She glanced at it, frowned, then laughed. That's ancient, honey. He told me about her. An ex. You're digging for reasons to hate him. No, Mom, he's lying to you. She cut me off, her eyes flashing with anger. Enough. You're jealous. That's what this is. You can't stand to see me happy. Her words felt like knives. I stormed out of the room, tears streaming down my face. That night, unable to sleep, I crept downstairs for water. I heard voices in the kitchen, Mom and Richard. At first, I thought they were arguing, but then I realized Richard was coaching her. No matter what she says, you defend me. Understand? She's just a kid. She doesn't know how the world works. Mom's voice was weak. But the photo... Old, worthless. You love me, don't you? Then trust me. Don't let her ruin what we have. Silence. Then Mom whispered, I trust you. My chest tightened so hard I could barely breathe. The following days blurred into a nightmare. Richard tightened his grip on our lives, controlling what Mom did, where she went, even how money was spent. And every time I tried to speak up, Mom snapped at me, accusing me of being selfish, dramatic, impossible. But the truth couldn't stay buried forever. Because one night, I followed Richard. He told Mom he was going to a business meeting. I didn't believe him. So I grabbed my jacket, slipped out the back, and trailed his car through the snow. He drove across town to a dimly lit bar, and there, through the window, I saw him kiss the woman from the photo. They laughed, holding hands like newlyweds. I snapped photos with my phone, my hands trembling. This time, there would be no denying it. But I had no idea. The moment I showed Mom, everything in our family would explode. I remember that night like it happened yesterday. My mom had just slammed the door in my face after yelling, "Stop making up stories about him. You just hate that I'm happy." I couldn't believe it. My own mother, my safe place, chose her boyfriend Darren over me. I went back to my room, shaking with anger and fear. Darren wasn't just controlling, he was dangerous. The way he looked at me, the way he raised his voice, the way he always seemed to know where I was, it all made my skin crawl. But my mom couldn't see it. She was blinded by his charm. The next week, things escalated. Darren had moved in officially. His clothes filled the closet, his tools cluttered the kitchen counter, and suddenly our house didn't feel like ours anymore. It felt like his. One evening, I came home from school and found him sitting at the kitchen table with my phone in his hand. "Looking for something?" he said, smirking. My chest tightened. He had gone through my messages. "You don't get to touch my stuff," I shouted, grabbing the phone back. Darren stood up, towering over me. "As long as you live under this roof, everything here is mine." My mom rushed in when she heard the yelling. Instead of defending me, she pulled me aside and whispered, "Don't provoke him. Please, just try to get along." That was the moment I realized she was scared of him too. 2 days later, something happened that turned our world upside down. I came home late from a friend's house, only to hear shouting from the living room. Darren's voice boomed, "You think you can hide money from me?" Mom was crying. She held an envelope of cash, money she had been saving for months. "It's for bills," she sobbed. He snatched it from her hands. "Bills, or were you planning to run away?" When he stormed out, Mom collapsed onto the couch, shaking. I rushed to her side. "Mom, we have to leave. He's going to destroy us," I begged. But instead of agreeing, she looked me dead in the eyes and whispered the most painful words I'd ever heard. "If you can't accept Darren, maybe you should leave." That night, I packed a small bag and went to stay at my aunt's house. She listened as I cried, telling her everything Darren had done. Aunt Lisa clenched her fists. "I've always had a bad feeling about that man. Tomorrow, we're going to the police." I was terrified, but I knew she was right. This wasn't just about me anymore. My mom's life was at risk too. When we went to the station, the officers listened carefully. They asked me to describe Darren, his behavior, and the threats he had made. One officer nodded slowly and said, "We've had reports about him before." My stomach dropped. Reports? That meant Darren had hurt others too. A few days later, the truth finally exploded. The police came to our house while Darren was out. They showed my mom evidence, statements from other women, restraining orders he had violated, and even an open investigation for fraud. At first, she refused to believe it. She kept shaking her head, whispering, "No, he loves me, he wouldn't." But when they handed her photos of Darren with another woman, of him withdrawing money from someone else's account, her face went pale. Her whole world shattered in that instant. That evening, Darren returned, furious that police had shown up. His voice thundered through the walls as he demanded to know what I had told them. "You ruined everything," he shouted, grabbing my arm. For the first time, my mom stepped between us. Her voice trembled, but she stood tall. "Let her go, Darren. I know everything. It's over." His face twisted with rage. For a second, I thought he was going to hit her. But then flashing lights filled the windows, police cars pulling up outside. Darren bolted for the back door, but officers were already there. Within minutes, he was in handcuffs, screaming threats at both of us as they dragged him away. After Darren was gone, silence filled the house. My mom sank to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry," she whispered over and over. "I should have believed you. I should have protected you." I hugged her tightly, tears streaming down my face. For the first time in months, I felt like I had my mom back. The road to healing wasn't easy. She had to testify against Darren in court, and the process was brutal. But with time, therapy, and support from Aunt Lisa, we began to rebuild. Looking back, I realize how easily love can blind someone, how dangerous it is to ignore red flags. My mom thought Darren was her second chance at happiness, but he nearly destroyed us. Now we're closer than ever. We've promised never to let secrets or lies come between us again. And as for Darren, he's behind bars where he belongs. But the scars he left on our family will never completely fade.